no representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed are greater than the legal services provided by other lawyers. I'm Harry Steele. You found the part of Dixie podcast. I've used my hugger so I wouldn't say the wrong one. And so my name's Harry Steele. I'm an attorney in Daphne, Alabama. Joined today by my co-host, Brandon Mosley of the Alabama Gazette. How are you today, Brandon?
I'm doing good, Harry. How are you?
I'm good. Gail Williams, who is the curator and co-owner of Mobile Auction House, is joining us. How are you, Gail?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Former Chief of Police in Summerdale, Alabama, Kevin Brock. How are you, Chief Brock?
Yeah, just Kevin Brock will be good.
All right. And of course, Whitney Scarpecci. Did I get it?
You're good.
All right. And tell us who you're with, Whitney.
Southern Freedom Press.
There we go. Okay, so we're going to start out with a video, I hope, and we'll see how that goes.
The police chief of Summerdale has been placed on paid administrative leave after an investigation that is now in the hands of the Attorney General's office. WKRG News 5's Debbie Williams joins us live from Summerdale. And Debbie, this investigation has been going on for a while now.
Shimani, sources tell News 5 that this investigation has actually been going on for months. But what Police Chief Kevin Brock is under investigation for is still being kept under wraps, at least for now. Now, Brock was placed on administrative leave last Wednesday pending the outcome of the Sheriff's Office, passed on to the District Attorney's Office here in Baldwin County, who then sent it on up to the Alabama Attorney General's Office in order to avoid any conflict of interest. Now, according to Summerdale Mayor David Wilson, he made the decision to place Brock on administrative leave without consulting the town council. Wilson says he just didn't feel like he had any other choice.
There's nothing to do with the town of Summerdale, but since it is on a criminal nature, we felt like that it was important to make a decision. And so the town, I feel like, is under good hands. We still have all the rest of our officers working.
Brock has been the police chief in the town of Summerdale for almost 7 years. I spoke with him earlier today, and he says any comment about the investigation would have to come from his attorney, but he did say there is nothing to this investigation. In the meantime, the sheriff's office is helping pull the...
Well, that's probably enough of that. So everybody get the gist of how this thing broke. So Chief Brock, tell us, what was this years-long or months-long investigation into?
Well, they didn't actually break it to me until that day. Basically, I was walking down the hallway of City Hall, and the mayor said, "Look, I need to talk to you for a second in the office." And I followed him in his office. He closed the door, and then he laid it on me. He said, "You're under investigation by the Sheriff's Department. The investigation is of a criminal nature. It's been given to the Attorney General's office, and they are going to prosecute you," is what he said.
Okay. Well, so let's fast forward. Here's the next.
Summerdale is without a chief of police tonight. Police Chief Kevin Brock was placed on paid administrative leave last month. Tonight, the town council voted to terminate him.
WKRG News 5's Whitney Leibold was at tonight's meeting where she found out what led to Brock's downfall.
Flanked by his family, Chief Kevin Brock walked into a special called town council meeting to try and save his job. Back in April, he was accused of property fraud that has to do with false deeds. Brock's attorney brought in copies of 2 deeds, but a copy wasn't good enough for town officials.
He should bring in the 2 original deeds tonight. If there are 2 original deeds, and it would clear up a whole lot.
Mayor David Wilson explained to Brock and his attorney that he was told by the sheriff's office that there was way more going on.
That's gone straight from the sheriff's.
Wait a second. I thought this was turned over to the Attorney General's office to keep it all the hanky panky in the sheriff's department hands off. You're telling me they were the ones leading the investigation?
They were definitely leading the investigation. They attempted to interview me and my wife, and we had an attorney at that point, so of course we didn't think it was pertinent to do an interview, but yeah, they seemed to know he was following that path,
Well, there ain't no school like the old school, and there ain't nobody old school like Don Bolton. Okay. And so I'll bet you Don Bolton had a court reporter there that night, did he?
He did. There is a transcript of the entire meeting.
Okay. And so nobody ever gave you, like, I thought you were presumed innocent.
You would think so. I thought at the time, my response to him in his office that day was, first of all, there is no criminal nature to the situation, period. And then as far as the deed goes, that was something my wife did. I was not present, didn't know about it, wasn't privy to it. I told him that morning, I said, I have nothing to do with this. And, if you give me time to look into it, I can maybe answer a little more broadly about what's going on,
Okay. So the night they fired you, isn't it true that Sheriff Lowery was at the meeting to help them pick your replacement?
He wasn't. They didn't do it that night. When they fired me, I left, and then they created this is what I was told. They created a board to interview new police chiefs for the position, and yes, he was not only on it, but I believe he headed it up and picked the others that were on it. So.
And lo and behold, they select a lieutenant from the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office to follow you in the chief position. Is
That's
that right?
That is.
Okay. So this was 2 years ago. So why don't you catch us up? So you've been fired. Did you lose your pension?
Well, I had already had some, I'd gotten out of law enforcement for about 7 years and was a state farm agent, believe it or not, up in Montgomery. So I have a lot of connections in the Montgomery area. That's how I know Brandon and people he works with, as I was up in that area. But at the time that it was all going on, you have to realize that there's a lot of things in play here. One of them is my brother-in-law is the one that basically nudged my wife's mom into making a report with the sheriff's department. When he did that, naturally my mayor would be privy to it because he happens to be my brother-in-law's father-in-law. He married his daughter. So I immediately, in writing, actually in text, sent to him and all the council that I wanted them to recuse him to recuse himself from any employment decisions, as far as I'm concerned, because of the familial attachment that was involved. And he said no, that he was going to head up the hearing, and he basically, pushed it through.
And so his son is married to your wife's sister?
No, his daughter's married to my wife's brother.
Okay.
Right.
And she had an interest in this property that was supposedly fraudulently conveyed, right?
Exactly. And
does everybody see the conflict and how horrible of a conflict this is?
They were attempting to not only rectify the mistake, they were trying to take back land that was given to my wife the year previous. So yes, there was some monetary gain that could have been gained on their side, and has been since. So
okay, so let me see if I can explain this so that Brandon Mosley can understand it. Okay. Your wife had power of attorney over her mother. Her mother said, there are these two pieces of property. I want you to prepare two deeds.
Right.
Have I got it so far?
Right. Mhm.
Okay. She executes one deed with the power of attorney
Well, her
and
mother
has it notarized.
her mother says she went ahead and agreed to give her 2.9 acres, but not the 0.33 acres yet. So one deed was notarized and signed, one deed was not.
Okay. And so your wife took the first page from the unexecuted deed and somehow put it on top of got it confused with the first page of the executed deed and went
Right.
and recorded that.
Yeah. Her mother,
and this is the overt criminal act that costs you your job.
right. Her mother wanted her to record the one deed. It was and she had a big manila folder that had that deed in it, the other deed that was not notarized. And then she also had 2 leases in there. Her mama was trying to create some leases because we had put my daughter in a trailer on the front part of the property. And that's what they were mad about, was that we put a trailer out here. And so all this paperwork was in one file. So when she went to the probate office, and mind you, in the trial, that's what they did was show the video from the probate office of her standing at the counter, writing a check, you know. So again.
So okay. So you are headed for trial. You and your wife are headed for trial.
Right.
Your trial was supposed to be September.
Well, first of all, it was a good almost 2 years before they presented it to grand jury. So the Attorney General's office is the one who had the ball, and they, for some reason, it stayed dormant on somebody's desk for 2 years before they brought it to the grand jury. And I didn't even think twice about it. I wanted it to go to grand jury, you know, because I was like, there's no way they can show probable cause to send us to trial, you know, but it happened.
So does anybody else have any questions for Chief Brock about the circumstances of his termination?
Just a couple here. I was witness several years ago to I didn't see it, but I came up on it afterwards, and I was in the area for a few hours, where a officer of a town I will not name, young officer, drove his police car, into a drainage ditch. And we had to wait 3 hours for somebody with a state trooper's office to come out and do the investigation, because that county puts anything where an officer may be involved or at fault becomes a state investigation and not a sheriff's investigation or a local police investigation. So it's an impartial deal. This just keeps coming up in Baldwin County, where Baldwin County doesn't, even an officer involved shooting, doesn't bring in the state and investigates everything internally. Is this a Baldwin County phenomenon that, where they're acting like their own country or something?
Well, when you're dealing with
there's only 2 counties in the state that, have certain requirements around even becoming a sheriff, outside of the rest of the counties. So, we do operate as our own little entity down here.
It's, I've policed for over 25 years in Baldwin County, and it's pretty normal to me. I know it sounds funny to say that, but that's the way it's always operated. I've always been on the municipal level. I did work for the state for a little while, but on a municipal level, the sheriff's department is involved quite a bit. Now, the only difference there is you mentioned that the state would be called in. Yes, I felt relieved when they said they were sending it to the Attorney General's office, because that way it would be outside of Baldwin County. Turned out it wasn't. It wasn't to my favor for sure. They never investigated it. They never came in and opened the file up. The only difference in Baldwin County is you say any officer that's been investigated. They have what's called the major crimes unit, and they will investigate officer involved shootings in Baldwin County. But normally, I would think they would send something to the state. But
okay, so let's continue. Let's continue with the linear story. So when was your trial supposed to be?
It's been a while now, so it's as well as I could before. But once they brought it to grand jury, which timing on that was everything. I mean, if you look back at the dates, there was a lot of things going on, as far as departments and who's hiring who and appointment of a new sheriff and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, my case pops up on grand jury. It was in our grand jury, Baldwin County grand jury, but it was the AG prosecutor that came down to present it. The only person that testified in that was the investigator from the sheriff's department. And then we were indicted and
completely independent.
Right. We were indicted before the ink was dry and before they even assigned a number to the indictment. We had the special operations unit on my property attempting to find us. They were knocking on the door. They couldn't find us. Naturally, we had walked to a neighbor's house to eat dinner with a neighbor. So there was nobody at our house. We're on a farm. It's a pretty large property. So they had to park on the dirt road and walk all the way to my house, which is probably 1,000 feet easily. And so they called my wife on her phone. We were eating dinner, like I said, at a neighbor's house. They were angry with us, angry with her. You need to bring yourself over here now and turn yourself in, blah, 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 blah. And I told her to just hang the phone up. We'll go turn ourselves in. I got my son to drive me up there. They booked us, printed us, and strip searched us just like they do everybody else, put us in orange and did those beautiful pictures for the news, showing us in our worst possible view in our orange outfits. So wasn't pleasant.
There's a lot of that going around, Chief.
Yeah.
So get us up to, so you and your wife are getting ready for trial. Your lawyer's there. Y'all are getting ready to voir dire the jury, and they come in and they drop all charges against you, and they drop all charges but possession of a forged instrument against your wife, right?
Right. It wasn't done right there at jury selection. It was done. I knew before we walked in there that mine was gone. They said they didn't have enough evidence, so they now-processed everything. Which I immediately was like.
So I'm gonna start calling you ham sandwich, because they can indict a ham sandwich.
They can indict anything.
And then when they get to trial, they can drop the charges after they ruin your damn life.
Right. Exactly right.
Trent Pittman said it best. It's Baldwin County where we do shit different. We do shit different around here, son. He was our state senator that was in charge of the BP oil spill money that got a no-bid contract to put out all the oil boom around Fairhope. And when he's questioned about it, he said, well, hell, we do shit different around here. Like no-bid contracts where we're self-dealing. You're an emergency. So, yeah, this is nothing new. Nothing new. So, I thought we would, okay, so then let's continue. So your wife goes through a trial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
jury
Brandon can chime in here. So we've been talking about the fact that we can't create heaven on earth. So the Alabama legislature has decided to create hell on earth, which is the Alabama prison system, right?
If there's a hell, it's probably not much different than the Alabama prison system.
One of the things that they've done is they've done sentencing guidelines, because someone who got convicted of possession of marijuana in Baldwin County would get 50 years in prison, and somebody in Marengo County gets 2 months picking up cigarette butts around the, police chief's house or whatever, right?
Right.
So they did sentencing guidelines. So if your wife had been convicted of everything they accused her of, that felony would be worth 20 points on her worksheet to determine whether or not she should go to jail, in, or out, right? So I think the total is what, 31 to be in jail, and she has no, for every prior you get 20 points or whatever.
Right.
She has no prior, so she's not going to jail, right?
Right.
So as soon as she's found guilty, the judge puts her ass in the county jail until he decides to sentence her. How long did your wife sit in the county jail?
She was granted, I would say, a no bond. He revoked her bond right at the sentencing, and I mean when at the verdict, he announced that he was revoking the bond and that she was given no bond. So she sat in jail for 11 days before being given a bond.
So when I was sitting my happy rear end in the county jail, no one could come see me. And unless I had money on this little iPad thing, I couldn't use the phone. Did you ever get to physically see your wife while she was in jail for those months?
I did not. As a matter of fact, the first 2 days, I didn't know anything about a kiosk. I've never been in there. I certainly didn't know to charge up 3 different accounts from 3 different websites to try to get in touch with her or to get her some food or get her. You can't even bring her thermal underwear. The biggest thing there was, I don't know if you were freezing to death when you were there, but she froze and she was sleeping on the floor for the first 2 days. And if you knew my wife, you would, not that she's any better than anybody else, but it's Dr. Lowery Brock. She is a PhD humanities professor and has been for 30 years. And never been, had so much as a ticket. She had one ticket one time back in the 1990s, I think. Other than that, she's been a model citizen and a fantastic teacher. And to see or think about her sleeping on a floor of the jail, freezing to death, infuriated me. Angry, infuriated me. And I couldn't do anything
what if
about
you were? So what if you were a lawyer? And you'd been attacked by a city councilman, and then you were arrested by a bunch of Bay Minette police officers who didn't witness it. So, Chief, are you familiar with this code section? 1510(3), arrest without a warrant?
Right. There's exceptions to that, but assault is not one of them. They can arrest on DUI.
I'm pretty sure it's not. So
They're,
then when I get to the jail and my bond's $2,000 on a charge that's only supposed to be $1,000, I post my bond and then I sit there, I hate to say false imprisonment, until they go get this writ prepared. And then when that finally gets done at 4:00, they process me just like they did you, except they put me in filthy clothes that were 2 sizes too small, which worked out to my favor because when I walked in solitary block, I looked like He-Man. I couldn't put my arms down. The damn clothes were so tight. And this dude said, I ain't messing with that son of a bitch. So, I mean, they were helping me even though they didn't know they were helping me. So then I sat in solitary, right? And they had to check on me the buzzer would go off and they'd say, Mr. Steele, have you killed yourself yet? I'd have to get up and push the button. No, thank you for checking on me. That was every hour.
right.
So, and then they perp walked me. They put me in clean clothes that fit and chained me around the waist and ankles, shackled me, and perp walked me over here to this damn hearing, which was a farce. Right? So then they dropped the charges against me and refile them. So you tell me, Chief, was it a good arrest? Did they go get a warrant?
Well, I could say from the beginning, I mean, you're fighting 2 different sides of the story naturally. Isn't there always 2 sides? Thankfully you had your phone with you and the consciousness to hit record. And now people can actually question what went on. But yeah, for them to arrest you without a warrant, that was pretty
illegal.
it's pretty illegal. Yeah, I was trying to think of a good word, but that one
So the whole
fits, yeah.
time I'm sitting here going, what's going on? And I was
Right.
never served with this writ of involuntary commitment. So the whole time I'm sitting there going, what in the world is going on here? And then the
We do
fact that
things
I sit there
differently in
and so,
Baldwin County.
well, and so everybody that comes into the jail, you see the nurse and they test your urine to make sure it's not admissible in court, but to make sure you don't have a lethal dose of fentanyl in your system, right? So
Right.
guess who sat for 4 hours and never saw the nurse, even though I came in with my clothes ripped off and my mouth busted open. So I didn't eat or drink anything the whole time I was in there. Not being paranoid or anything, but they sure wanted me in that jail for some reason. And you guys try to help me figure out what it was.
They were sending a message that they can jail even an officer of the court. Message has been heard loud and clear to anybody paying attention that may be anywhere around Baldwin County.
To me, the bigger message that came out was that then we're going to stick the mayor in front of TV cameras and have WKRG witness him completely slandering Harry. Then there comes the press release from the jail. I mean, and it looks like WKRG was the mouthpiece for yours too, Kevin.
I was about to chime in and say I thought you were talking about me when you started talking.
Right. Well, that was the first thing I noticed was they jump out there and they get their narrative going.
Right.
So, it's the whisper campaign. And if the whisper campaign doesn't destroy you, then we're going to start throwing crazy things.
Right. The mayor himself took it upon himself the following morning when I asked him to recuse himself from this. The very morning after, he put his nice suit on and he called 9 news channels, and they were all just willing to listen to what he had to say, and he pretty much, not just an investigation. He put the word criminal investigation, and at the very end of his speech for them, he put that it was disturbing. He used that word. So not only put out there this investigation, but it's a disturbing investigation. So
wow.
I know it won't do any good, but if you ever need a character reference, I mean, I certainly never knew you, and of course I know your wife because she teaches at Coastal, right?
Right.
And if everybody will recall, Brandon may remember that one of my friends, Laura Burke, was harassed down to 90 pounds and almost died. When they finally fired her ass, they had to hire 5 people to replace her. Okay. So the personnel department went from 1 person to 5 people to do her job. Dr. Pouncey comes in. I'm sure you know Dean Vincent Bradley, one of my very good friends. And anyway, Pouncey brings in one of his friend's children to work under Vincent, who then makes salacious claims against Vincent. And of course, the rest is history. And of course, Dr. Pouncey was accused of multiple incidents of sexual harassment. And this is after, when people talk about, a guy doing crazy things, guess who went to see Dr. Pouncey at Faulkner to say, hey, somebody's keeping an eye on things around here. Several of my good friends are professors here and staff members. So anyway, Gail will remember this. We went to high school together. Who was the AS400 student night operator at Faulkner State Community College? I was. So, yeah. So I know everybody that works at Faulkner, or that used to. Of course, they've kind of thinned the herd some. But, I used to laugh and say Faulkner is somewhere so all the Robertsons will have somewhere to work. If you're a Faulkner person, you know you'll get the joke. Did she lose her teaching position over all this?
She did. They put her on administrative leave to start with, waiting to see what the outcome of it would be. But as soon as you have a felony on your record, you can't teach anymore at the college level. So yeah, she's lost her position. She taught for 25 years at the Gulf Shores campus. So anybody that went through down there would definitely know who she is. The sentencing itself there was an onslaught of letters that were written on her behalf. It didn't really seem to make a difference, because I think she was paying for my sins, probably, right?
So, well, I mean, you just go back to the Southwest Alabama Police Academy debacle and the fact that they went after Van Davis and tried to put his secretary in prison, right? And what did they do to Van? The same thing they did to you. They indicted his ass and they let him swing, and then nothing. Do you think Debbie Williams did a follow-up about how you were acquitted? I couldn't find anything about you being acquitted online. It's not news anymore.
Right.
That you were railroaded by the sheriff's department, not the attorney general's office. They're the one mining all the data. And by the way, I spoke to the person who notarized that thing, and I have a real problem with that testimony if it's consistent with what she told me. And I'll just leave it at that. It was someone who worked that's a JA for one of our circuit judges, right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I talked to her, and that's all these people had to do, and mystery solved. But for some reason, man, you poked the bear. I don't know what you did. I don't know it's because you wouldn't give them 5 people to be on the drug task force, or 3 people to go do funeral duty, or whatever it was you're not playing ball on. But there's something that, you probably have 5 things you think it might be, but you probably hadn't guessed which one it is yet.
Right. Exactly. I either stepped on someone's toes or I was a threat politically, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. My career was definitely not over. I wasn't going to retire or, leave police work. At that time, I planned on staying at least for 2 or 3 more years before doing that. So forced into early retirement. I can't say it's bad. Retirement's pretty cool, but it definitely hurt my reputation. A lot of people that I thought were my friends, they just fell by the wayside when it comes out on the news. You'd be surprised how many people just drop. So pretty disheartening.
So Whitney, I'm sure you have questions for me and the chief.
Yeah, well, and Kevin, we touched base before, and you sent me a documentary that I think a friend had produced for you. And I think it really gives a really good backstory. I mean, I can't imagine. Are you guys still estranged from your wife's family? I would be. I mean,
yeah, they attempted to put her in jail. So, I mean, in prison, really. I was scared that was going to happen, to tell you the truth. Everything else had went awry. So I just assumed when sentencing came, they were going to put her in prison. You're talking about her brother and her mother. It's very strange.
Yeah. And your wife had power of attorney. So I do, if that documentary ever surfaces and someone watches it, I think like a question I was left with was, is her mother really of sound mind? I mean, it sounds like she was heavily.
That is a question that has come up. I have submitted some paperwork to the U.S. Attorney's Office, asking them to check into that amongst some other things to do with our trial. And it is a question, a valid question.
Yeah, very concerning. your wife was very thorough in the story. I had no reason to believe that she was lying. I mean, she was charged for literally the acts that she admitted on her own happened, but that I think at some point, you guys did your own legal work, basically. Like, well, they did with the paperwork and the deed and everything like that. And so I think that, she couldn't have been the first one that's ever walked down, to one of these offices to file that sort of paperwork where, you could have a parcel number wrong, there could be a number of things, and aren't those people there to kind of help guide you? They flagged it. She was able to, they intercepted it. She was able to change it, update it, but it's like the wrong person, it got into their hands. And again, the conflict of interest with the brother-in-law and the mayor and all that. It's like, it's an interesting story to hear your wife tell the full thing. I mean, just how it all went down. Very interesting. And I'm so sorry for both of you.
Thank you. It's definitely a hard row to hoe. And it was a situation where, even when you're talking about the deed itself, she was running around that day trying to get a permit for this trailer we put in the front yard. And so she filed that, went to the permit office, came back. The permit office caught it. She come back, tried to fix it. And in that short period of time, her brother got wind of it and decided he wanted to get Mama to fill out a sheriff's department report. And once the sheriff,
it sounds like the brother really kind of led this whole thing against you guys. And, and to hear your wife tell it, he was not happy about the trailer that was going to be next to his custom home and all of that. And so it's a greedy, sad story, honestly. And for the mayor to be able to sit there and cast you in this criminal light, knowing the intimate details, in your family, it's sick.
It did. I mean, it was a rough situation, but we still have fought through it. It is, it has affected us as far as financially. You can only imagine. Her paycheck's gone. It's now going to be a retirement paycheck. My paycheck's gone. My retirement was separate from that, but and attorney's fees alone, because I was brought into it so early and put on the chopping block. We got an attorney early on. So we've probably spent, at this point, we've just paid some more money for, we're going to appeal the charge on her. We've spent over $75,000 on attorney fees because it's lasted so long. This case has went on. It took 2.5 years to bring it to trial. It was strange the way it went down. And one thing I wanted to mention, Harry, was you were talking about the AG being involved and them being the prosecutors on this. When they dropped the charges on me, they had came in. What they told my attorney was that they came into town 2 weeks early so they could investigate the case. So 2.5 years after the initial, accusation, they finally open a file and investigate something. And they found out that I wasn't involved. And that's basically what they said was, looks like Kevin wasn't involved in this, which Don told them that was definitely the case, that I was not involved at all. So been a long road.
Well, Chief, I have a pointed question for you. Can you point to any incidents of erratic behavior in my past that you're aware of?
No, not really.
Okay.
You're a
That's
good
what I
old
figured.
boy. You're a good old boy. You like to hunt and fish. I mean, you're pretty outspoken, but I don't know of any erratic behavior at all. I don't
Well,
understand.
Debbie Williams sure knows a lot about it. I wonder what Debbie Williams' connection to the sheriff's department might be.
What do you think?
Man, I wouldn't dare to speculate.
Right.
Oh, goodness.
Whitney.
No, can't do it right now. Don't put me on the
No,
spot.
no.
I will
Okay.
say, since we did the podcast, oh my, was it just like a few days ago? My days are blending together.
4 days ago.
Yeah. So, a lot of tips, leaks. It's like the deputies found their balls in their voice, and they have been coming out of the woodwork with lots of leads and tips. I'm still sorting through them all, but I'm having an internal conflict with about what it is, that is appropriate to comment on and appropriate to leak. I don't want to become a source for trashy news that's sensationalizing on people's, private affairs. But, I think that there's some things that the public needs to know, because I think that, no matter what you do, if it can sway public perception, right? Like it's such a hard thing to talk about without alluding to too much, but there's a lot that's going to be leaking out soon. So, if Debbie gets caught up in the news, I don't know what to say.
She becomes the news. That would be interesting.
What?
So Brandon, do you have any questions for Chief Brock?
Again, it's a Baldwin County thing, so it's investigated by the sheriff and the sheriff's department, even though the sheriff is elected by the same people that are in your town and the other towns in Baldwin County. How many other counties would have handled this internally versus handling this in Alabama versus handling this over to the Alabama Bureau of Investigation, whom is supposed to be over all 67 counties?
Like I said before, it would have been nice. I probably would have been relieved if they had turned it over to the ABI. At least I know somebody would have looked in a different direction than what they were looking. But there's several issues that we talk about in the documentary that if exposed would wreck that investigation. There's a lot of conflict of interest going on. You have to remember, my brother, I don't know if you knew this or not, but my brother-in-law used to work for the sheriff's department. So he seemed to be plugged in. He seemed to be one step ahead of me this whole time.
Didn't he used to be one of the deputies at the door? Wasn't he one of the gatekeeper deputies that used to F with me pretty bad?
Probably. I would think so.
Yeah, I remember.
He was, I think he ended his career, and when they, he resigned, but I think he was working at the Fairhope Courthouse at that time, the very end. So
okay, so I need to explain something to everybody real quick. So, so Whitney, Backstory Podcast. Who is John Gray? Number 120 from 3 years ago, right?
Loaded question.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that was Backstory Podcast, which we don't do anymore. What we do now is Heart of Dixie Podcast. And for some reason, 1,300 people have viewed it and only 61 people have subscribed. So we can't see who's subscribing. So if you're a deputy sheriff, there's no way for us to know. The analytics tell us how long people watch it and that kind of stuff, but we don't know who's, subscribing. It doesn't tell us that. So, if you want to keep getting the info as it comes out, go ahead and hit subscribe down here, and we would really appreciate that. So, anyway.
Yeah, we do
wrapping
not
it up, guys.
Subscribers in the master names index.
Yes, they will not put you in the master name index. And maybe that's something else that we should bounce off of you, Chief. I wanted to know, is an out the front knife illegal in Alabama, or is that just a Bowie knife about your person?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so I'm good. I never carry it because I thought it might be, it's over. I don't know. Seems like you can't have a stiletto or a switchblade that's over like maybe it's 3.5 inches or something. Anyway,
Right.
I should look into that.
Well, just for everybody's, peace of mind, we did go through the sentencing. They gave her 24 months suspended and 24 months probation. We did get her set up with the probation office who did their home visit today. So they came out and got to go through my house and, do their thing, which they've been good as gold. The probation office, they've done a good job. They did remind her today reminded her that I can't carry weapons with me while she's with me. So, just another dig there, but,
Wow.
it's a gift that keeps on giving,
Well, another thing that I failed to mention, and Whitney, you need to do the same thing. My Twitter handle is @BackwoodsSouth2. Whitney, what are all your handles? Aren't you on TikTok, Instagram?
I mean, you can find me by my name, is the easiest. I'm trying to get all of my platforms all streamlined right now. But you can search my first and last name, which is in the little square right here underneath my picture. But Southern Freedom Press is where I do most of my written work. And then I should be getting like my full podcast set up soon. I'll be diving in and exposing DHR. My middle fingers up to them. There's a lot that I'm working on. And I'm kind of, Harry, I've been so grateful for your platform, digging into some of this deep-rooted, long-standing corruption. But, we are exposing things with the local school board. Again, DHR, also the state-run facilities where there are, hundreds of victims that I've interviewed that have come out of those facilities. Again, more organizations with no oversight, but all of our public money funnels into. Working on a lot.
All right. So, Chief, anywhere we can keep up with you? Do you have a Twitter handle or anything
I don't have
like
a
that?
Twitter handle, but I do have, I have to do part 2 of the documentary. At some point that'll be out there at a theater near you somewhere. So, maybe online or Facebook or something simple, but it's hard to get all this information. I mean, when you talk 2.5 years, that's a lot of things that have happened. It's hard to put that in a short video. So, like I said, there will be most likely some civil litigation that comes from this anyway. So I'll just keep y'all informed.
Please do. And is that documentary that you sent me, is it available on YouTube and the full link?
I have not put it out. As a matter of fact, you're probably the first person I've sent it to. So
it was good. I think it's something a lot of people need to watch and understand just how crazy this stuff is that happens.
Yeah, it's definitely drawn out. So the trial is not on there. The craziness that went around that and the sentencing is not on there. So that'll be have to be added, or at least be a part 2. Probably be part 2 since it's so big, big file. But Harry, I appreciate it.
Yeah, and so my trial is Monday night, December 1st. I'm sure there will be a huge police presence. Gail and Brandon were there last time to getting intimidated. So anyway, I'm sure there'll be a show of force, and a good time will be had by all. Anybody that wants to come out and see the show, we're going to, I guess they'll be playing the audio, I'm assuming. And of course, all that, there'll be a new Lagniappe out tomorrow, and there should be an article. I was hoping the headline said, Matt Franklin, big fat liar, but that's not the headline. I think it's audio disputes, councilman's take on scrap on the sidewalk, or whatever they're calling it.
And
horrendous assault.
It was diplomatic.
I do want to publicly call out Debbie Williams. She probably won't watch this, but I am going to publicly call her out on social media here in the next few days and ask her where the follow-up is to the story now that this leaked audio has, made its way through different platforms, and just, see if she's willing to give truth a platform for once. So.
Woo! That's a tall order. All right. Well, everybody have a good Turkey Day. Everyone who came out for my father's funeral and all the well-wishers, I really do appreciate it. It meant a lot to me and my family. And Brandon Mosley, you the man for driving your ass down through that rainstorm and everything to come to that. I really do appreciate it. Okay. Thanks, everybody, and have a good Thanksgiving.
You too.
Have a
Bye.
happy.
I'm gonna kill that fucking dog, hey? And I'm gonna kill you.